I know it's not all about camera gear, and the best camera is the one that's always with you, but I would also say the best camera is the one that's ready for the job. And in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing with you this camera rig that I've spent the last 6 months building out, figuring out my best setup for not only narrative work, so scripted content, short films, and feature films, but also documentary run and gun rig. This is a setup to where I can swap between both modes of handheld and cinematic gimbal movement within 30 seconds. So the first thing is a Sony FX3 on top of the gimbal. Then on top, what you'll notice is the Sennheiser. I upgraded it to this microphone so that I can actually put it on my gimbal. One of my favorite things is, if you notice, I can flip it up and we can actually use a microphone on top of a gimbal, which is kind of, for the longest time, was unheard of for me. Now you're probably already looking at this like HDMI cord and being like, well, wait, doesn't that affect the gimbal? Yes, it does. And I normally actually shoot with a much longer HDMI cord, but it broke before filming this, so I had to throw this one on just for the example. But that's actually a good segue into my monitor system that I use for this. So I was like, well, wait, why can't I just shoot on my smaller monitor? But eventually I started recognizing that it was a huge tool. One, just having the larger screen, but two, having these LUTs available. So you can quickly kind of toggle between if you want those or just Rec 709, but I almost 90% of the time shoot with a LUT. You can see what's peaking in the image as far as color goes, and this would be a properly balanced. But one of the reasons why I really like sticking with having a monitor on my gimbal is so that when I'm doing complex shots, what I can do is I can have this folded to be regular mode, and then I can tilt this to be straight down. So if I'm getting an overhead shot where the camera's straight up, I can actually look at this monitor, or if I'm getting a shot like this, I can look at my camera monitor. But then if I'm moving my camera and doing a dynamic move, I can then go to this one. So therefore, I don't have to do any camera adjustments. We just shot a one-take episode of our new web series Echoes, where in order to get that shot, I had to use both monitors. I couldn't like flip back and forth into the scene, or else you'd get that camera movement. What you also see is that I've got this camera arm attached to this. This is more for like camera flexibility and movement. So if I'm doing any sort of dynamic moves or moving the gimbal around, I'm able to hold on to this. And moving through the camera, I want to show you the lens system that we're using. I'm shooting a lot on the 16 to 35. This is the G Master, an incredible lens, maybe a little bit overpriced, but it has never done me any wrong. The reason why I've been shooting on this a lot is because the framing, clients now, it's so annoying, but they're asking a lot of vertical content. And I find that if I'm able to shoot it in 4K on a wide lens, I can both scale and crop for both framing. And you're actually able to get some really good stuff. And using the grid markers that I have on my Atmos Shinobi, what I can do is actually put vertical crop marks on, and I can tell what the shot's gonna look like vertically and horizontally simultaneously. So Freewell has created this one-size-fits-all adapter system. I have used this consistently for the last 2 months, shooting almost every piece of content I have on this ND filter system. One, because the ND filters are finally magnetic. Why haven't you done this? Every other ND filter company in the world, they just click on. Also, they make them extra large. So this is like an 82 millimeter ND, it might be even larger than that. And what that does is it fits every single lens type, from wide, medium to close-up focal lengths, and there's no vignetting. It comes with these great features, like if you want to click it onto your camera but then swap lenses, you have this quick release plate, and then you're like, oh my god, we're in a pinch, I've got to click it on. You click it on, you slide these locks in, and you're ready to go. And with this little space here, you can slide in additional filters. So for example, right now I've got the soft gradient in, so that's kind of good for like doing daylight stuff. But my favorite filter that I've been sliding into this quite a bit is this blue streak filter. This is maybe a little bit of overkill, but I've been filming almost everything with this. It gives you these nice lens flares. Now, while if you stop down and go to like an F5, you start to see the streaks and lines in there. Anything over an F4, you get these beautiful flares. And even if they're not directly in camera creating those large streaks, what you end up getting is these nice soft glows within the space. And if I'm, let's say, wanting to swap cameras or swap lenses, I can just unscrew these two little bits here and just click this off. It's a clickable adapter, and the people at Freewell building the K2 understood run and gun filmmaking. Run and gun filmmaking is not, hold on one sec while I just like screw in my ND filter. Now, if this does not go enough stops high enough, so this is a 1 to 5, if I want to increase the stops, they have an other variable ND that you can click on, or you can stack them. You can stack the NDs to get a darker image. The kit that the K2 comes with is a bunch of different adapters and plugins. So for example, if I want to use it on my 50mm or my 16 to 35 or my telephoto, there's a bunch of adapters that come in this cute little leather box that look great. And this has been my favorite tool to capture stuff. There's a love-hate relationship with gimbals, and I just want to say I'm a huge supporter of gimbals for this one reason. I have all of these ideas of shots in my head, but most of the time they're not handheld or these crazy tracking gimbal shots. They're either stationary, slider, dolly, kind of maybe a hybrid of a few of those, crane. And being a run and gun filmmaker, wanting to shoot cinematic stuff that looks like it's straight out of a movie, this is the rig to do that. Now, while it does slow you down in the process, I've found this becoming a better and better setup for me. Another reason why I suggest doing gimbal versus handheld, especially with the Sony FX3, is that it's a small camera. As soon as you go into handheld, even with the top handle on the top, you're getting your internal camera jitters. Now, while you could put a stabilizer on it, it removes that handheld look that I think we intentionally went through. So what I like to do is have this as an extension of myself, so I'm not putting all my body weight into the camera. Rather, the camera is in this very easy to grab system. I'm also able to achieve the shots that I've always grown up watching, those slow dolly ins, the tracking, the panning, the tilts, the crane shots that go down. And that can be achieved with this rig. Handheld has its place, it tells great stories, and it is the sort of go-to for doing documentary. I challenge you to look at something like your gimbal and see, can you use it not as a crazy tracking, moving, zigzagging thing, but rather can it be used as a tripod, a crane, a dolly, or a slider? This is the rig that I use all of the time, and it can quickly be interchanged into my handheld system. And if I'm really feeling ambitious, all I've got to do is unclick this microphone from the side of the camera and then swap this over to on top. My camera is now in handheld mode, and then with the quick release plate, I can just click this off, and now we're into handheld mode, which is, I think, my favorite thing about the Sony FX3. It keeps all of these things on, and because it connects the audio with the top handle, I can already have audio going into my microphone, the monitor's already working, and then I can just set this aside and we're in run and gun handheld mode. So that's it, friends. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you want to learn a little bit more about my ultimate handheld documentary setup, let me know in the comment section below, as well as sort of being a dual filmmaker, shooting between handheld, gimbal, and maybe other tools and devices. I do want to plug the Freewell K2 system one more time because it is such an excellent system. They've just dropped their Kickstarter, so go give that some support. I cannot suggest this system enough. While camera, gimbal, handheld, whatever your preference is, having a good ND filter system, if you do not have a big expensive camera with built-in, is crucial. And I would easily say, this is not sponsored, this is the best ND filter system I have ever used. Mostly because it's magnetic and also because it's got these slippy slidey things in it. You don't need big matte boxes. This is all you need to get a great shot. Thank you for watching. Oh, also, if you want to see what was filmed with that sort of gimbal setup, you can take a look at my short film Clementine that we just released. There's a link to it in the description below. But all that said, stay classy and let me know. Do you think mic on up here or underneath? Does it even matter? Who cares? Huh?
It's really loud by your mouth.
Oh, okay.